All right. Hey, everybody. I'm here with.
Santana.
Hey. So tell us where you're from, your background.
Okay, so my name is Santana Kavanaugh. I am a junior at NYU. I study critical race theory, human rights, and minority studies. And then I'm also in a master's program where I'm getting my MPA in nonprofit management. And my end goal in life is to be a reparations lawyer and to also be a nonprofit founder and maybe a writer. But who
Yeah,
knows? Who
yeah. What you
knows?
want to
Who
dabble
knows?
in?
Yeah, a
Yes.
one-hit wonder of everything if I
Yes.
can.
Truly.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Her, you heard it here first. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was really inspired to hear about your work with the fellowship, the global fellowship.
Yeah.
So could you tell the people what that was about and what your work was there?
Yeah, so basically through this summer through NYU Gallatin, I was accepted as a global human rights fellow. And basically the program, it's like 10 of us are selected to focus on a human rights issue from basically anywhere. And so we had people who were going to places like Cairo, Egypt. We had places who were going to people who were going to like Brazil, different places like that. But I chose to stay in the States because I wanted to look at the oppression of African Americans as a human rights issue. And when I first started the project, I didn't know that there actually had been international human rights efforts, approaches to African American oppression, and that was until I found out about the what I always talk about, the 1951 we charge genocide. And basically, the 1951 We Charge Genocide was a petition created by the Civil Rights Congress, which included a whole lot of different black activists, but most notably W.E.B. Du Bois was on that committee. And basically what they did was created a 100-page petition for the United Nations to recognize African American oppression, specifically mass lynchings that were going on in 1951 and prior, mass incarceration, and just like different issues that were happening in jails pertaining to African Americans, looking at that as a human rights issue. And unfortunately, what I ended up finding out was that the reason as to why I didn't know about this and the reason as to why nobody else knows about this is basically because it was they weren't successful. So basically they put up the petition, they went to the UN in Paris, handed them the petition, and they basically were like, no, like, we're not doing this, like, and basically like rejected the whole idea. And then when they came back to the United States, everybody who was in the Civil Rights Congress basically had their like passports taken, like they weren't allowed to travel internationally, because they were afraid that they would spread this sort of movement to charge the United States with genocide. And what I also found out is that Raphael Lemkin, who is the creator of the term genocide, who had family members, or I think he specifically was a Holocaust survivor, but he basically, after the Holocaust, after World War II, wanted to create a language for basically what Hitler and the Nazi Party was doing to Jewish people in Europe. And so he created the term genocide and also the United Nations Convention on Genocide. And basically while he was doing this, while he was making these efforts, Republican politicians were actually like trying to pay him and try to like encourage him not to make genocide a thing or not to make it an international human rights issue, because they feared that African Americans would catch on and then charge the United States with genocide with the help of the United Nations. And so basically, when it did come time to do that, when the 1951 We Charge Genocide petition was published, it was rejected. And ever since then, 1960s, you get the civil rights movement, that transition, that language, originally, when we were talking about issues in the Black community, we were talking about them at some point as human rights issues. But then because we were rejected by the international human rights community, we then had to change into the language of civil rights, and thus came the civil rights movement, and a much more an internal focus on like addressing Black oppression through like only the bounds of the United States, and like not having help from the UN or any of the international governments. So yeah,
Powerful.
So,
Tell the people.
Yeah.
Tell the people, because the people need to know.
No,
So
yeah.
thank you.
If you
so
don't know,
much.
please look that up.
Yeah.
Please
thank
look that
you.
up.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. And it's only 100 pages. It's only 100 pages. The petition, which 100-page petition is a lot, but I mean in terms of us really rethinking, or just like like with the movement towards like reparations and like California and DC, and like there's efforts in like Missouri and things like that, like very small scale efforts. I think as we talk about this, as we talk about like restorative justice, it's important to also to not only think of reparations as like monetary or like systemic initiatives, but also with holding the United States accountable for what they have done to Black people. I think that's also a huge part of it, which is what I wrote about in my project. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yup.
You're
God,
so silly.
see God.
You're so silly.
Applause for you, truly, because that's what you deserve.
Stop.
Thank you
Stop.
so much.
Appreciated.
So
much appreciated.
beautiful, beautiful work that you are doing and are going to continue to do. So can you share like your future goals, especially concerning the club, but also just the grander scale in terms of things that you want to do as a reparations lawyer?
Yeah, so, well, I'll start with AD. So AD is the Association for African Development, and basically it is a club that focuses on nurturing entrepreneurial spirits in the African diaspora at NYU. But also this year we are focusing a lot on just uniting the African diaspora in general. So not only are we focusing on, what strategies can we think about to build and progress the continent, but also what social issues can we be addressing to help the entire African diaspora itself. And a lot of that comes through just learning about the different diasporas, learning about African Americans, learning about Africans, learning about Caribbeans, learning about everybody in the diaspora, and us uniting and recognizing the issues that we have in our communities are actually very similar. So, for example, when it comes to things like poverty, things like public health, things like education, these are issues that are prevalent in all of the diaspora. So we should be thinking about what can we do as entrepreneurs to, again, strategize with how we can go about addressing those issues together, you know what I mean, without the help of, and I hate to say it, but without the help of the white man. That is basically what what we're hoping to do at AED.
Incredible work
already.
already.
I'm
I
really
went to that
excited.
first meeting, y'all. I felt like I was in the revolution.
Stop.
Santana standing
Stop.
up there at the
Stop.
podium, looking like Angela Davis.
So no, it was a good meeting, and I hope to have like more discussions like that. Just more discussions where we are talking about our issues and talking about uniting each other. I am a Pan-Africanist, and I believe that every Black person should be a Pan-Africanist.
Period.
Because, as I always say, at the end of the day, under the eyes of the white man, we are all the same. And we have to start looking at each other. Even though we do, we have to recognize our differences. We have to look at each other not as enemies. We shouldn't have any, we should be looking at ways to dilute or address our internal conflicts, so that we may then focus on the external conflicts, out the bigger issues, the bigger pictures. Basically, we all need to stop fighting with each other, and we need to be fighting him. Yeah. That's how I feel. That's how I feel.
Yes. Really grateful to get to know you and hear all the work that you've been doing. Super excited to see how the club flourishes, how these conversations progress, and just all the work you'll do with your nonprofit. Yeah.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
Thank you for
you.
doing
No
this.
problem. No problem at all.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.